That's the sound of gunshots being fired by the police. And we have the young men who are trying to counter the activities of the Following Wednesday disaster at a mining site in the Galamsey district of the Upper East region that resulted in the death of some 16 illegal miners, the Lands and Natural Resources Minister and his deputy are flying to the disaster zone to get first-hand information as to why these Galamseyers defied directives to undertake the operations that led to the untimely death of the 16.
The small-scale mining sector in Ghana is central to the country's success story in the global gold production rankings. According to the Natural Resources Governance Institute, the sector in 2018 alone contributed some 2.3 billion Ghana cedis, representing 5% of government's revenue. The sector as of December 2016, according to the institute, shows the small-scale mining sector alone employed an estimated 1 million miners, with artisanal small-scale mining contributing 31% of total gold production in Ghana. The small-scale mining sector also produced 174,439 carats of diamond, representing 100% of total diamond production in the country in the year under review.
Economic historians will attest to the fact that for many decades before and after independence, this was the single most important enterprise in the economy. Indeed, from the resources of Boise and in combination with our timber and cocoa, it provided more than half the gross domestic product of the country at one time in our history.
Curiously though, according to the Minerals Commission of Ghana, the country in 2018 recorded 2.1 million ounces of gold, representing 43.1% of total gold production in the small-scale mining sector, the highest since the country started documenting gold production statistics in 1990. Ironically, the year 2018 witnessed the most rigorous clampdown on small-scale mining, with moratorium placed on mining in that space.
Yes, Ghana is the beacon of mining, especially in West Africa. Now, we are making so much strides that when it comes to global mining, if you're talking about the top 10 mining countries, you cannot mention without talking about Ghana. And therefore, we need to work together to deepen this for us to really get to the right echelons of the mining industry globally. Top 5 mining jurisdictions in the world, that should be our target, working collaboratively with the Minerals Commission, which is also a promoter of the mining industry in Ghana, to ensure that we reposition the mining industry to be the mecca, to be that jurisdiction which most mining investors want to look up to.
That notwithstanding, there were infractions that threatened not only the small-scale mining sector, but the sustainability of the mining industry, as mining and export of illegal gold surged.
Mainly one single BC year. Radio so yeka adentia CDC radio so Galamsey so me so Galamsey so say bia say Galamsey enka abrosan kura no enka emu bi o manso ada.
Because of the issue of the Galamsey, all the rail lines from Kojoko to Takwa was chopped by this Galamsey team. What you going to see that the rail lines, the lines are bare, but they have chopped under. Yeah. As I'm talking now,
that's dangerous.
Minister for Railway, he said what he know of it. That's why they are trying to link. That's why from Kojoko to Takwa has not been constructed, but they are not trying. You see, Former it has been hit by these Galamsey boys, but there's a gold there. And because of this scanty 2 rail lines, we have to remove it and win our gold. Yeah, but as I'm talking now, the 2BM squad, they are there in the forest, chasing them. So it will be very difficult for you to win, but they go there at night. As you know, no curfew, they'll go there, then they'll win.
Policymakers really understand the bigger picture, not the short-term benefits which will come to the state, but the long-term implications and adverse, ramifications for the state really come to the fore, and oftentimes we are able to get them to retrace their steps for us to get together and see how best we can implement this same policy measures in a manner that will not adversely affect the industry going forward. And therefore, you cannot say that we are just closing our eyes and blindly supporting and protecting just the interests. Because if you are talking about sustainability, then you should ensure that the benefits are mutual. Benefits which go to the state as the owner of the resource, benefits which go to the host communities, those who are within the fringes of the mining firms, and of course benefits which will go to our member companies as well, because they are the investors. They would expect some returns. Government is the resource owner. They will expect some returns, and of course the communities who are close to the operations will also expect to get some benefits as well. So we want to ensure that we have a comprehensive view of who the stakeholders are and how do you ensure that the benefits of mining are actually shared equitably.
Government in 2017 took steps, including an embargo on small-scale mining in a bid to sanitize the industry and ensure sustainable mining.
I know these guys are going out with the intention of returning back, but please, that will not happen this time around. They should take it from me. This time, we as a country, not as a government, collectively have agreed that enough is enough. Dredges, Akimodan, 20, Aslakragwa, 100, Asimfusu, 200, that is River Pra, on the River Ofin, almost 300. Dunkwa, 10, Takwa on River Ankobra, 8, River Pra, 10, almost over, quite close to about 1,000, what they call the illegal Galamsey floating platform.
The issue of small-scale mining has become a political football, kicked about by all politicians. They kick it wherever they find suitable. It has gone on for years, with ad hoc interventions by successive governments. So on Monday, July 31, 2017, government commissioned a 400-member military cum police contingent to combat illegal mining across the 3 most ravaged areas in the country. These are Ashanti, Eastern and Western regions. Before this, on April 4, 2017, thanks to the launch of the Media Coalition Against Galamsey, the conscience of the nation was stirred to the environmental mess Galamsey was causing to rivers and water bodies in the country. President Akufo-Addo then vowed to eliminate the Galamsey menace, even if it cost him the presidency.
The activities that they're involved in are jeopardizing the very survival of our nation. I took the decision that that would be a betrayal of the trust that the Ghanaian people put on me.
The so-called war led to the arrest and prosecution of many illegal small-scale miners. Some were prosecuted and sentenced. One of such that readily comes to mind is the case involving a Chinese national who would later be known in the Ghanaian media space as a Galamsey queen. The trial of the Chinese national Aisha Huang, who gained popularity through Galamsey, came to an abrupt end and the lady deported to her home country, China.
Aisha Huang, who is the first accused person, is being accused of employing the 4 other persons illegally to undertake these activities. The prosecution has been taken over, like I pointed out at the previous hearing, by the Director of Public Prosecution herself, Yvonne Obuobisa Atakra, who led that prosecution today as well.
That singular act by the state attracted criticism from Ghanaians who argued the gesture does not only send a wrong signal about the state's commitment to the fight, it demoralizes police and army officers.
Aisha was not like one of those victims that you can, those small fishes that you find in the pits, who are eking a living for them. She, from all the information we had gotten, was one of the financiers, very influential people who were behind it. So you wanted to ensure that for once you had gotten somebody who, if you dealt with, could actually deal with the supply, of resources towards this illegal mining, to deal with some of the people who are actually benefiting from it. So for us to then hear that Nolly Prosokwa was, for me, one of the lowest, ebbs in this whole fight against, illegal, the fight that the Stop Galamsey fight.
As majority of Ghanaians condemned the deportation of the Galamsey Queen as a sign of weakness, a senior state official had a contra-review.
A very good relationship with China. They're the main company that is helping develop the infrastructure system in Ghana. Is Sino Hydro. It's a Chinese company. It's the one that's going to help process our bauxite and provide about $2 billion to us. So when there are these kind of arrangements, there are other things behind the scenes. Putting that lady in jail in Ghana is not going to solve your economic problems. It's not going to make you happy or me happy. That's not important. The most important thing is that it's been deported out of Ghana. So we must say it's not wrong. I'm saying that there are many other things beyond what you see in these matters. And everybody is wide awake. The most important thing is that we have planned this, we have established the relationship, and we are protecting our family. And that is far more important than one Chinese woman.
But as it turned out, it appears Yao Osafomafu was standing alone in his defense of what many described as a smirk in the face of the Ghanaian people. The defense was like adding insult to injury, and the Ghanaian people didn't mince words.
I think he cooped beyond recovery. There was no relationship from all my investigations between what had happened to Aisha and the Sino Hydro thing. None of whatsoever. And all what he should have done, if he wasn't capable of doing, was to let somebody with a legal acumen from maybe the Attorney General's office to talk about it. Explain why they're not prosecute. Even if you don't want to explain, just put it there, rather than go and bring in the economic diplomacy factor.
He's a senior minister. He sits in cabinet.
Unfortunately, that's what gave the credence to what he said. Okay, that's what made some people believe it. But the truth is that it was not. It was a baseless statement.
The senior minister, somebody who has seen a lot of seasons, somebody who has a lot more experience than we are, give this justification that for $2 billion, we are prepared to sacrifice 2.29 billion cedis damage that has been done to us. We did not want to ensure that the detriment, effect of prosecution happens. We do not want to make sure that the sanctions, in terms of even fines that could have been fined for each of these people, that could have gone into ensuring that, we at least recovers part of the cost of fixing this, would have dealt with it. That we did not want that maybe in the course of this, some of the people who were behind working with Aisha would have gotten them exposed, that we did not want to do all of this. And then we want to do a justification for the Sino Hydro deal. Definitely the message that comes out of what the senior minister has said is a fatal blow to this particular fight. It is very demotivation to everybody who is involved in it.
The fight went on anyway, with the arrest and prosecution of Ghanaian nationals who were being slapped with 5-year jail term.
It is. So you can see in the background, the Galamseyers are running away upon hearing the warning shot by the police officer accompanying the minister, and there they are, kids 5 years, and the police just fired another warning shot. They are all running away from the mining site here at Nananko. It is unbelievable. All of them making good business here at the expense of the state.
Say beya nkwada nso benya bribi adu ofie ntina. Oh, ewo musa but Ghana mrane de ne ye disu ane so banko be ma toilet so. Ena bebre eno no kore de ewo de na mka kire.
You can see just in the background they are walking back to the site, the illegally occupied site, to continue with their illegality of undertaking Galamsey.
We have said so many things. This is a national problem. Government will need to deal with it, but it has a local solution. Every one of us needs to understand that this is not the way to go and be committed to helping resolve it. So if we at the local level see it and we don't complain.
Don't we have MCs, DCs, police, district police? The impunity is just...
That's where we got to solve this. That's where we all get to understand that this is not the way to go. Yes, we need to create livelihood. But in creating livelihood, you don't destroy the livelihood for tomorrow's future or even for you yourself. So that's a challenge, and we all need to get involved. I hope that people hearing this, seeing this, would see that we all have a part to play. It's not the president.
Hundreds of excavators and other mining equipment were seized in the process, but calls for transparency and allegations of subterfuge by civil society groups birthed investigations into operations of those mandated to supervise the confiscation of the mining equipment.
The fight, which we all know started intensely in 2017 when President Akufo-Addo took over as president, led to the arrest and seizure of about 500 excavators. At least that's what we were told by then Lands and Natural Resources Minister John Pt.A. Today, the fight has taken a different twist. After these excavators, 500 of them were told were arrested. Miraculously, some of these excavators went missing.
That investigation will later reveal those seized excavators were allegedly stolen and misused by those who were supposed to take care of them. Embattled MPP Central Regional Chairman Ekwewusi, who was contracted to transport excavators and other equipment seized by Operation Vanguard to designated areas for safekeeping, allegedly made nonsense of the law by selling some of the seized excavators. His arrest and subsequent revelation generated huge public outcry. Coincidentally, just days after the arrest of Ekwewusi, this video popped up and went viral.
AAK MP. Oshia wakazo prof and can also be here machine back at the aquarium. Now Okaza ne Ekwewusi MP me. Was an Ekwewusi MP no wa Ekwewusi way. Excavated baby rebel will see any. Excavated no, but I don't even know this Amazon Power. Who is he? Amazon member of parliament for AAK. I don't know him. Because you're not. I said I'm allowed to cook or chamber. And the thing is true. Please go out. Don't allow me today. Please walk out. Prof,
the video purported to be a conversation between the embattled MPP Central Regional Chairman and the Minister of Environment, Professor Frimpong Boateng, who at the time was in charge of the Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining, a body set up by President Akufo-Addo to oversee and coordinate activities of the institutions that have been set up to fight the illegal mining menace.
Yes. Wo prof, and a woman authorization, some formal team na message of no money say man. Yes. Wa prof na osan ka chem say e ya team na message Memfa Gizo, Memfa Nkama. Yes, sir.
But do you tell me what is happening maybe?
Oh, Prof.
We talk about the framework. Part. You know, say part of this, and it's okay. Let's go to me now. You go to me concession. So go to me with concession. So you go there, inspect the place. Let's form a team. But they can't, you know, one can't just say, well, I'm going to go for you, I don't know.
But in as much as a number of Ghanaians applauded the Akufo-Addo-led administration for using a joint police and military task force, Operation Vanguard, to fight the so-called war on Galamsey, there were those who, right from the onset, spoke vehemently against the approach.
Government was right to take steps to address the so-called menace of Galamsey. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And if you check our history, we've always had some form of intervention from government to address the problem. If you go back to history, I think in 1988, there was a military intervention to stop Galamsey. Then in 2004, 2005, I think 2005, under President Akufo, there was what we called Operation Flashout. It was also a military intervention to stop Galamsey. Then under President Mahama, we had the interministerial task force against Galamsey. And now we have Operation Vanguard. Now, if all these operations had succeeded, why are we still having another operation?
Richard Elima is Executive Director of Center for Social Impact. He says governments may be right to take action to address the menace of illegal mining, except the use of military and police is wrong.
Our mining sites have grown so much over the past few years, and they have outgrown the number of officers who can monitor them. So let's get a lot more people for the Minerals Commission who have been given the mandate under the law to regulate the sector. The second thing we need to do is that let's map out who and who are doing illegal mining because of livelihood issues. Let's get them. Why can we give them an alternative to the small-scale mining? Can we give them an alternative? So besides mining, are they prepared to do any other thing?
The idea of ending the illegal mining menace in recent times was started by former President John Dramani Mahama. The approach was no different from the use of Vanguard. As I took frontline position to report about this operation by a joint police military task force in the eastern region town of Asamama.
We've had illegal mining activity taking place over the years. As you can hear, that is the sound of gunshots being fired by the police. And we have the young men who are trying to counter the activities of the police here. I have one such gentleman here with me, and he's going to tell us exactly what he makes of the situation. And now it's getting chaos. We have to run for our lives now. So right now, this is one of the dead bodies being carried away from the mine site. Was shot by
the current administration's attempts to end the menace was triggered by this ambitious declaration by President Akufo-Addo when he literally put his presidency on the line to fight and win the war against illegal mining.
Perhaps it's the first time I'll be saying it in public. I am prepared to put my presidency on the line on this matter.
Nothing have I seen under this government, under the presidency of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, that tells me that he's willing to put his job on the line.
Stephen Mantiao is co-chair of the Ghana Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative. He says the president's tough talk and his actions in fighting the illegality are worlds apart. The man has set up the Operation Vanguard team. Drones have been deployed. Mining guards, Galamsey, and that isn't enough, Mr. Mantiao?
Those are administrative processes, but sometimes personal intervention, personal leadership, and the way you respond to some of these allegations that have come up, for me, would tell people whether you are tolerant of abusive behavior within the context of extractive mining or not. I think so far I haven't seen that decisiveness, that crusading approach to dealing with the problem. And so even where there has been investigations into allegations, I think the investigations have been very slow, not very open, not very transparent, and a lot of the times you see justifications being put forward for actions that we believe were wrongfully undertaken. And so yes, I haven't found that. And that reminds me, we had similar situation during the time of President Kufuor, who also pledged zero tolerance for corruption. But we didn't see really much in terms of the crusading approach to fighting corruption, only for him to later tell us that corruption is as old as Adam and that kind of. And I think this is where we are getting to. It looks like currently the zeal to even fight illegality in the mining sector has subsided, and we are all back to business as usual.
The former Pt.A boss does not only blame the president for the seeming failure in the fight against illegal mining. As far as he's concerned, vested interests and weak supervision among political appointees and institutions tasked with the mandate of eliminating the illegality are partly to blame.
I happen to have joined an international panel that reviewed Ghana's implementation of the Natural Resource and Environmental Governance Program, which was financed largely by the World Bank over a 10-year period. And the final report found that over the 10-year period that we sank money into the natural resource sector aimed at eliminating illegality, particularly in the mining, forestry, and I think which other one? And environmental sector. We, at the end of the project, these illegalities rather increased. And according to the report, this was largely on account of vested interest. The very people who had the power and the mandate to weed out the illegality were themselves involved in the perpetration of this illegality. And so the report describes that as vested interest. And so until we deal with the vested interest, I do not think we'll go very far in eradicating the challenges that we have in the mining sector. So when I say failure, regulatory failure, it is the deliberate type of failure, not the involuntary type. And I think it would take a revolutionary leadership to really deal with this problem, not the kind of leadership that I've seen so far.